Hello, it's James Atkinson, back by unpopular demand, and I'm here to talk about this film called Beatniks, which is in what Adam teamed the third series, which was Girl Trouble, Old Friends, Suds and War. I've found out the title now for going on the Knuckleheads commentary, and Beatniks, and it wasn't so much after this one, it was more the Fool's Hall of Fame and Carpes. Adam really got a bit depressed because he had been very nice filming, and he felt a bit disappointed with the results. And these films he sort of was a bit more happy about, but I think he was still a bit disappointed because it's a bit of a complex story, but Adam had written these 3 films, and then we were going to film on Saturday, but before the lambing kicked in, because he works on a farm during the lambing, and he wouldn't really be available to do them. And the problem was Jack and Stuart couldn't make Saturday, so they came Sunday instead. But the problem was that I was gonna go back to university because I usually come in Friday and then go back in Sunday. I was going to see Avatar, which I greatly enjoyed, at the cinema back at the university that evening, so I had to leave about 4. So it was a real rush trying to get these scenes done, and this was sort of the last scene that we really took our time on it, so we had to sort of rush and just get to the end, even if it meant paraphrasing lines, because there's a scene later on when I'm blatantly in different clothes, because we literally filmed that the week afterwards. So it's not so much Beatniks that's sort of okay, and Girl Trouble's okay. It was the first one, Old Friends, Suds and War, that Adam was really disappointed with the conclusion of, because he felt he had a much funnier script than what was eventually produced, because we ended up butchering it, which was a shame, but these things happen when you have scheduling problems, so yeah, that's a shame. But this is probably the best of the bunch, but I'll tell you, the Girl Trouble one's probably the most interesting production one bar this, because what happened was Adam had wrote this Ed and Ted sketch where they go to a nightclub, and I thought that'd be a good Ed and Ted one, and I wrote this script, and it really was very good, so I asked Adam to rewrite it, and that's what we mostly ended up as. But this one was quite interesting because Adam had wrote this sketch called Adam had a habit of writing film scripts for Ed and Ted that weren't, like, couldn't be made because often they'd have women in and none of us have girlfriends, so we haven't been able to rope any in. And they all have like stunts and like more than 4 acts in, so 4 or 5 actors in, so we've never been able to do them. But one of these was called we used to, when we were younger, we used to just act out scenes, like pretend we were filming and just act them out like playing. And there was this one called Camp Fun with Ed and Ted, it was called. There was this landlord in, and I just playing the landlord, I just kept calling everyone Beatniks, because I just thought it sounded funny, but I called it Beatniks without having a clue what it meant. And it just sounded funny, and we thought, well, we kept that in the back of our mind. That's established issue I was telling you about in Knuckleheads. We kept that in the back of our mind, and what happened was he wrote a reversion of it called, what was it called? Bed Buddies, that was it, which was gonna be a play where the first scene was at a restaurant, which was a lot like, it's almost identical to the middle section of Bring Me the Head of 10 Manic. And now they were saying Bed Buddies idea was that the first half was going to be like Bring Me the Head with a Big Dave bit, And the second half was going to be basically what happens in this film, Beatniks, from about halfway through. And basically it was never made, but the idea was, oddly enough, for Stuart Dixon to play Ted, to allow me to play the landlord, but common sense prevailed in this one and we allowed Jack to play it. Now, what I've entirely talked over was at the start of this film there was a slapstick scene, and that went okay, but the original script was supposed to have us being chased by the policeman, and apparently, because I can't really remember now, but apparently what actually ended up happening was the stunt that happened in Fool's Hall of Fame, where Adam, Stuart's picture gets smashed. We did actually take that down for a couple of days. It was still in our parents' bedroom, but instead going in our parents' bedroom and cut to the kitchen. But back to what I was saying is that how it ended was the scene that ended up in Fool's Hall of Fame with Adam going to the taxi and strapping Stuart in, and then the taxi driving off was how it was supposed to end. But as I explained before, we were short on time, so we just ended it at that point. I wanted Adam, in retrospect, to call that burger place of Parkinson's Good Burger after that atrocious Keenan and Kel film, and just seen a quite funny review of it online. There's a little trivia there that Parkinson's children are called Derek and Shanice. A rather lame imitation of me smashing it. This scene's also odd because it's the actual one of the very few bits that something was actually cut out for time, because Adam felt it went on too long, so it's one of the few bits in the outtakes that's actually edited. There's me in my Arsenal shirt I got from AIDS Bustiers, the 18 indicates them. I mentioned Arsenal-Barcelona earlier, which was a game that happened around the time this was made. And me with a fat belly as well. No, in the Camp Fun script, all this was Ed and Ted put a goat in, would a goat at the fair for some reason, and they've left in Parkinson's flat, and that trashes him. Adam thought we couldn't really obviously do that in this footage. Adam wrote this in, might be a good opportunity of slapstick. And you might have seen on the outtakes I did this really bad Stewie Griffin impression, because at the time I'd seen the episode of Family Guy, Chick Cancer, and that's probably my favourite episode. They did the "Good Lord, Brian, she looks fantastic" impression, which is pretty lame, but as I said, I'm not that good impressionist. I could do some of the characters on some shows, I guess, like come on. You're paying me to go away? You bastard! But not tonight. No, these cigarettes are gonna kill me. But not tonight. Tonight we're gonna find out who shot Mr. Burns. What? 15 years ago? What a load. Like Roger there, as I did on earlier commentary. I was asked to point out that the role of Mr. Parkinson, that the original idea was that in Adam's thing, he's a big fan of Laurel and Hardy, and in that case they have people like there's no real set continuity in that, so you have people like James Finlayson popping up in completely different roles every week, a bit like Hancock, the early episode where Sid James could be a convict one week and a town mayor another week, that sort of thing. And the idea was like Parkinson and Aldi and a couple of other characters were supposed to be just these like reoccurring side characters that could be in any situation, but that was sort of messed up by Jack, actually, because he wrote Fred Aldi as a mayor again, and in the end, Ted on vacation, and basically after that, he had to be the mayor from then on. So Mr. Bag's a little different. He could change roles, but I got through the vacation bit without actually mentioning his existence at all. So I was obliged to point him out here. Stuart played him quite well. It's about the only real regular role he has other than Heavies. But he's a good actor. He's definitely improved as time went on. Adam cameo in as old man, and I think the noise with Adam standing on my back or something. Quite funny. We're buying that hotel. Oh, Staniel! That's another one. Adam slowly did. He did an outtake with him falling down the stairs, which was pretty funny, but we couldn't put in a script or something on the side. Now, the bit this thing's famous for, we're about to see, is Jack as a landlord. It's quite funny as it does. I think people got a bit over the top with that Beatniks thing, because he did in the review, Adam, how many times he said Beatniks. It was like 25. No, in the original scenario I was telling you about Camp Funny, I had Jack was rugby tackled. The landlord always rugby tackled anyone who complained, which added to the humor. Only used it a couple of times here. This scene was really the only one that was actually kept to the script, because the problem was, as I told you before, I had to leave early. So a lot of my stuff was done in close-up, so I didn't really interact with Jack, and then the script was sort of butchered later because I kept rushing through it. Because I'd said earlier in the commentary I thought this was the least butchered one, but given Girl Trouble didn't really have a lot of Jack and Stu in, that's probably the least butchered actually, or this is butchered. But it's still a good film. It's all fair, Sons and More does suffer. That's an obvious close-up, because I wasn't there. I missed a good joke because he should have gone, "No show is out, punch," and Adam what, and then Jack should have punched him in the face, so that didn't happen. This is something else that's come about in the plot contrivance, is this rule that only a man and a woman can share the flat, so they've just been vetted for this plot basically, like another episode. Before only married couples could live there. Or what's it called again? Knuckleheads, that one is only two men can share a flat or some rubbish like that.